Hi jazz students, this is Sam Gakwa, and in this video I'll be explaining how jazz musicians use numbers to talk about theory. Chances are you're already familiar with a major scale. You might know this with solfege. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. But in jazz, we use numbers because it's easier to transpose that way. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For the sake of chord extensions, we also go above 8, flat 9, sharp 11, flat 13. That's only for pianists though. If you're a wind player, it might be more easier for you to understand them with their equivalencies. So flat 9 is the same thing as flat 2, sharp 9 is the same thing as flat 3, sharp 11 is just the tritone, and flat 13 is the same as flat 6. Our major scale is the bassist, like our home bass. And this is because when we hear it in our ears, it sounds stationary. We like it to stay here. In a minor chord, or a dominant 7 chord, our ears want it to go somewhere else because we have some clashing and some tension. So how do we get those other chords? That's by modifying our major scale and our major chords. So people can talk about this as flats and sharps, raised and lowareds, or minor and major. For the sake of this video, I'm going to use minor and major. So if I were to say an entire chromatic scale from our 1 to our 8, our octave, it would sound like this. 1, minor 2nd, major 2nd, minor 3rd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, tritone, perfect 5th, minor 6th, major 6th, minor 7th, major 7th, octave. So, if I want to describe to somebody how to play a dominant 7 chord, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 8, I'll tell them it's the same as a major chord, but we're going to make it a minor 7th instead of a major 7th. They might also say flat the 7 or lower the 7. So here's our major. Here's our dominant 7. If I wanted to describe a natural minor to somebody, I would say we have a minor 3rd, a natural 5, a minor 6th, and a minor 7th. Now we have a lot of variations of minor, and I'm going to go through them really quick. We have our natural minor, which includes the flat 6. Then we have harmonic minor, which is the same as natural minor, except we're going to keep the 7th major as opposed to lowering it like we did in natural. We also have melodic minor, which is different going up versus coming down. When we're going up, it's a major 7, but we're going to make the 3rd minor. We're going to lower the 3rd. Going down, it's the same as a natural minor. All together. For the sake of practicing on my horn, I'm a saxophonist. I like to just focus on playing it going up the scale. Next we have half diminished, which is 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7, 8. An easy trick to help you understand this one is to think of it as our major scale, but instead of playing it from 1 to 8, we're going to play it from the 7th to the 7th. And then we have full diminished, which is 1, 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, natural 7, 8. You can think of this as going 1, whole half, whole half, whole half, all the way up to 8. Notice that it has 8 notes plus the octave, as opposed to all the other chords, which have 7 notes plus the octave. Kind of a tricky one, A lot of kids like to focus on that whole half pattern, but I would suggest trying to memorize it with the numbering system. That way you can transpose it to your other keys, because all of these you want to know in all 12. At this point you might be wondering, how do I decide what notes to put in my chord? And that's super simple. It's the same for almost every key. We start with our 1, obviously, and then we add the 5th. This is because the 5th is in a ratio of 3/2 when we're talking about sound waves, so it just sounds pleasing to the ear. That's why the diminished chord, we flat the 5 because it makes it sound really crunchy. So we have our 1 and we have our 5. Next, we're going to add in the 3 because the 3 decides if we're major or minor. And then we have the 7th because that's determining if it wants to go towards the 1 or towards the 6th. So a dominant chord, we hear it as, and we want to hear the next note as, but a major chord we hear as, and we want to hear the 8th. So every single chord is just 1, 3, 5, 7, unless otherwise specified in the sheet of music. So I know this is a lot of information at once. So next I'm going to show you on my instrument how you can practice this so that you have it memorized. So your long-term goal is to be able to improvise in any of the chord types in all 12 keys. And we master this by practicing scale and arpeggio exercises. So the first thing you need to do is be able to play all of the chord types in all 12 keys just up and down the scale in 1 octave. Major 7. Dominant 7. Natural minor. Harmonic minor. Melodic minor. Diminished. And half diminished. Playing all of your scales up and down 1 octave is a huge accomplishment, but it doesn't mean that you've mastered them. Remember, to improvise, we need to be able to play any random combination of notes that fit diatonically. So the next thing you want to be able to do is to be able to play your scale, but through the full range of your horn. You want to hit every single note that works in that scale. Next, I do what I call sets, so we have sets of 2, sets of 3, sets of 4. Then you want to try intervals, so thirds, fourths. And then the last one I like to do, that's the real test of mastery, is something I learned from the bassist Victor Wooten. And I use flashcards. So you write out 7 numbers, 1 through 7, in a random order. So here I have 6, 3, 5, 4, 2, 7. And then you want to do this with every scale, playing those notes. So if I were to do this with B flat major like I've been doing, I would have. If I were to do it in the same but dominant, it would be. This is also a great way to figure out notes that sound good together with jumps and steps. It really helps you get some ideas for improv. Once you can play every note in the scale smoothly, you want to start focusing on chord tones and arpeggios. Now remember, that's the 1, 3, 5, and 7. We like to focus on these because they sound the best in the chord. They're what the piano's voicing, they're what the bass is playing. So whenever you play them, you can hit them on the downbeat and they sound really smooth. But to do that, you need to be able to play all of them first. So I like to start by just doing them in regular arpeggios. Major, dominant, minor, etc., etc. Then you can add variations. So maybe you go from the 7th to the 1, 5th to the 7th, 3rd to the 5th. Anything that'll get your brain working in a different way. Don't let all of this information make you afraid of just playing when you improvise. Remember, it's okay to play notes that don't fit diatonically. In fact, it can sound really hip against the tension with the piano and the bass. Now that being said, that's not an excuse to disregard everything I've shown you. To break the rules, you gotta know the rules first. Use your ears, don't ignore the piano player, and practice your scales. Good luck. Oh, and there's a million different ways you can add extra exercises. If you think of one, leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear it.